What's going on, guys? Bladezilla here, and today we are taking a look at a very spectacular piece from Shirogorov. This is the new NeoniX Sprint Run. I need to kind of catch my breath here. This is a stunning piece, and it's rare for me to kind of get some of these cool pieces in to take a look at and to evaluate, and my goodness, I lucked out on this one. So super excited to share my thoughts on this knife, go through it. I'm doing this without any kind of a spec sheet. Information on this knife is actually quite sparse at the moment. So I guess bear with me. I'm sure I'm going to point out some things that are cool. I'm sure I'm going to point out some things that might not be the most accurate. And I'm sure I'm going to miss some things. So I guess that's more my style. And have a quick conversation with you, like we're at a coffee shop having a cold one, iced coffee obviously, or it's October, so I guess maybe a pumpkin spice latte or something, and just talking blades. So not sure how long this one will go today. I've got a sleeping kid in the other room, so we'll see how far we get, and I guess we will start from there. So as a reminder, guys, check out Bladezilla.ca, where a lot of the knives featured on this YouTube channel are available for sale in Canada. Really cool. And as you can see, there's a spattering of Shiros up on the site banner there. It's probably due for a replacement. Just got in some machine-wise stuff, some R1 Invitational, hit on a Koenig area, so that's a pretty sick knife. As well. Some other Koenig stuff, still have one of the Shiro braces in. That's got to be one of the coolest knives of the year for me. An F95 on washers, 4mm blades, so cool. Some Strider stuff, some CKF, some ProTech, all kinds of stuff, Microtech, it just TRM, goes on and on and on. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Bladezilla.ca. We're here to talk about the Shirogorov NeoniX, super sick. SR means Sprint Run, which is a pre-model to the custom division knife typically. And they usually launch them right one after another. And as you guessed it, this guy came out, and then within maybe a day or two, a custom division was released on the Shirogorov Instagram page. Slightly different than this knife, less cutouts, more, I think it's kind of like these three holes up top, but it's similar but different overall. I believe that one was S90V. I'll do my absolute best to get my hands on one of those. They're just difficult to get as they're all lottery showpieces, and right now there's none of them out there as far as I know. Although Blade West is right around the corner, CCKS, Friday Night Blade of Flare, there's lots kind of coming up. But knowing Shiro, I know the CDX took me a while to track down as well. So knowing Shiro, they release only a handful, and at these shows being lotteries, they're really tough to get because typically people just keep upping the value of what they're willing to pay for one. And I think they're tabled at around $2,300 US now. They've kind of gone up a little bit. So I'm assuming, 6,000 is going to be the floor for that custom division kind of range US. And then this piece here, very similar, probably $500 more, maybe $1,000 more is pretty standard for the sprint runs, just based on there's only 30 of these available. 30. Whereas the custom division knives are now bumped up to 100 from 50. So all individually numbered, all really cool and all that good stuff. But the 30-piece sprint runs, I think all of a sudden being less than 1/3 of them available, they're going to skyrocket in price, I really, truly feel. So I guess let's get started on some measurements on this guy, as it is the new Neon size, so it should be a 90mm blade based on kind of what I'm seeing and reading and hearing, which is I'm obviously very focused on because I'm very interested in this knife. So there we go. Blade length coming in at 3.5 inch sharp, which, as you can see, the 9 down here is these are buckets of 10 mils, so that'll be, the 9 would be 90 mils, as you can kind of see. So 90mm blade, really cool. Handle length on this guy's coming in at 4 3/8, or it looks like about 110 mils. And then close length, I didn't think there was anything sticking out of the handle, so no, there you go. There's the full size of the knife closed, and we can obviously get you a measurement on that coming in at you know, same kind of thing. 4 5/8, 4 1/2, somewhere in there, closed on the handle. So there you go. Where do we even begin on this? I guess I'll give you a weight, you know, once again, spec sheets, I'm not getting anything for this. So let's get a weight on this guy. I did grab the kitchen scale, being that it's fall. My wife just made a great pumpkin something. Not sure what it is, but it is fantastic. So 90 grams for a 90 mil blade. That's an interesting number. And let's do that one more time. And we'll convert this to ounces. 3.2 is what I'm getting. 3.1, 3.2, somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in the middle. Either way, if it's 3.1 or if it's 3.2, it's under 3.5 ounces, which is the magic ounces to inches ratio, which everyone is trying to follow, as you guys know. Which I think, is that a Nick? Is that a Shabazz thing? That might be. I think yeah. Anyway, so when you have a 4-inch blade, you want it to weigh 4 ounces, or 4 ounces, 3.5. You know, you want it to weigh 3.5. So in this case, we've got a 3.5-inch blade, and we are coming in at, you betcha, under 3.5. So pretty cool. So there's a couple unknowns for me in this, as I do have the COA here, the Certificate of Authenticity, and I can show that if you'd like, just to kind of gain a little more insight on this particular knife. So here we go. So NeoniX Sprint Run ZDI EVA. I don't know what that blade is, but I have seen some ZDI on some other knives, and I think it's like Zladinox EVA. I don't know what EVA means, but I'm guessing maybe an LMAX core Damascus, something like that. Single row roller bearing system, which is their high-end bearing system that's just buttery, silky smooth. Titanium handle, 2025, and then you'll notice serial number on here is now a number. It's a numeric number instead of a individual serial. Now, I don't know why they're doing that. They are still numbered in this case. Where did they number these guys? I think they were under... It's not on the inside. I seem to recall, what was it, on the MIDI Q? Was it on the MIDI? I thought they put it on the back of the clip. Ah, there you go. So what is this one? 27, I think. Should be 27. Sprint Run 27. There you go. So I'm not sure why the COAs are not doing kind of like an, number 27, number 5, number 3. They're now a production number, which is cool, which is kind of what all of the production knives come with. I don't know if that number's stamped anywhere. I think it's their number for Shirogorov. It's not really a numeric number that we would understand. It's more system-based. But anyway, this one, number 27 of 30. Ah, super cool. I guess, where do we start? I know we're probably 8 minutes, 10 minutes in. Where do we start on this one? Well, let's, okay, well, I guess let's start on the frame, on the front here. So, as we can kind of tell, one of my friends or customers turned kind of friends here pointed out this looks like it's a race car. It is a very fast, almost as if you're driving ultra quick and the rain is beating by the body of the car. I believe the term I read was it just looks fast standing still on some of the old race cars, and I would completely agree with that. So, I'm seeing some similarities to the Stellar B patterning. I'm seeing, it's an eccentric kind of pattern that kind of squirts out, I guess you could say. Apologies for like trying to paint a picture of just showing you the knife, but I'm trying to get there. You can actually see there's some breakup in the pattern that kind of go in the diagonal position, kind of in these little spots here. And it's harder to see unless you're under light, but you do see these lines that go through. So it's not an uninterrupted, unbroken pattern. There is a method to the madness. Those chunks go from kind of lightly milled in the center here, and they kind of emanate out into larger portions So pretty cool, very similar to the Astrum Sprint Run. I know the micro milling on the front around the pivot was also micro milled, and then it kind of radiated outward into more of a thicker milling pattern. So there's that. You can see down in the skeletonization. At first when I saw this, I was like, oh, is that kind of just like dull in the middle here? Like, is this just like plain tie? I don't know if you're going to see it on video. If you're watching in 4K, it's all micro milled in there. It's very fine milling. It looks fantastic. It's just totally different from anything Shiro's really done. And as you can tell, titanium in color is my jam. This knife's going nowhere. It is my jam all day long. So I love this. I love the neon. It's the perfect size. And currently my neon that's been in my case, geez, my wife seems to take. So I have not told her about this knife. She'll find out, I'm sure. But this one is not going to end up in a glove box. This is an absolute keeper. So beautiful milling down the center there. We've got holes. I believe those holes in the frame, they line up. Let's take a look with the blade out. Looks to be a couple of them do. The back one, yeah, looks like the first two do, and then the back might have some interruption as what's behind there, the back spacer, must kind of get in the way, but the first couple line up beautiful. We've got the fourth that doesn't really, yeah, there is a little window there, but doesn't really show anything. And then if I move that back here, nothing hiding behind that clip. And we'll get into that clip, I'm sure, in this video. We'll talk about the importance of that clip, where it first kind of came from in the Shirogorov lineup, and what people do with it. Because a lot of people don't really know what it's for. You know, they just think it's swivel and it's fidgety, but there's a little bit more method to that madness. So another thing is on the back, if we're looking at those, once again, those holes, skeletonization, we have the same patterning found kind of throughout the micro milling as well. But in the front, I will point this out. If you have the Neon NL custom division, this should look like a very similar pattern on the front here around that hardware as the Neon NL. It just reminds me of that so much. And then it kind of shifts to the Stellar B kind of raindrop. And maybe that's why it looks fast. I don't know. Maybe that's why the patterning is so cool. It's reminiscent of the Neon NL custom division, which just looks so sharp. And a beautiful little throwback there, which I don't know if a lot of people would pick up on. But you know, the older collectors will certainly see it, that have had one of those pass through their hands. So pretty cool. In terms of the hardware, we do have the custom division hardware, which is, you do require a custom division tool for that, which bada bing looks like this. They're typically picked up at shows, and they'll have all the bits that you need without the Sinkovich bits inside to work on these custom division and sprint run knives. They are individually numbered, super cool, and fetch usually between $400 and $600 on the secondary market, US, pretty standard. Beautiful made, super fidgety, but they'll have that reverse bit. Now the reverse bit is what's important. There are a few people selling some brass versions kind of online and whatnot, but if you're going to buy a knife like this in that 6-7K territory, US, get the right tools if you want to service it. So that's my call to action, I suppose, on the Shirogorov tools. But on the front, we have the dummy kind of cover, the cap. That is also micro milled. That's not really for a tool because under there it will not rotate, so not really needed. But on the back we have the standard Shiro bit in large. We have the reverse bit in small, and then we will have on the inside of this guy, I thought I saw some small standard pivot. Oh, it's on the lock bar. There we go. Right here. So we do have the standard Shiro small bit on the metal lock bar insert. And I saw somebody in a comment asking about if this was like bonded in or something. And I don't know where that came from, but no, that is what that little dimple here is. That's the back side of the screw. They are actually fastened in. So pretty cool. On the other underside and on the inside of the frame, I don't know how much detail we're going to go in on this. Do I have my light floating around? I might have it somewhere here. But on the inside, it's micro milled to high hell. It's gorgeous. These knives, once you do open them up, you'll often see the patterning that's found externally is a bit of a, how do I say this? A bit of a hint at what you're going to find on the inside. These are beautifully done on the inside and just spectacular to look at. There's a fella in the Shirogorov group on Facebook, which I encourage you to join. James, he takes a lot of these cool knives and he disassembles them and does like some patterning and stuff, and super knowledgeable in the Shirogorov brand. Sometimes I feel like he's kind of the Shirogorov encyclopedia, and he likes to kind of take these things apart and rebuild and show, and some of the images of the inside of these knives are just spectacular. So lots of Easter eggs hidden in these. As you can see underneath the backspacer, for example, we've got a centering line. You know, not needed. You know, if anything, it will impact the centering of the knife or the operation of the knife if it's not perfectly centered. But in this case, you know, these are dead center, perfectly made, gorgeous knives. And they do these details throughout, both in the backside here, right in the middle of the frame, as well as on the end. So like, it's details like that I love seeing. The Anna work, spectacular, right? The clip should match the backspacer typically. So that's just Shirogorov, how they like to do their business. I find on a lot of their fancier knives, that's a bit of a modern day indicator of how they do it. So backspacer, big thick gear patterning, almost like a Quantum. If you remember those, like I'm getting Quantum vibes. It is boxed and 3D milled, and as you can see, it kind of expands down and peaks up to grab some extra skin in the inside of your palm as you hold this guy. Not necessary, but each one of those is a different pattern, so that is really cool. And then it bricks up big time for that lanyard hole. Let's take a look at that lanyard hole actually. So from the side, obviously you got that Shiro bear right on the patterning. It's raised beautifully as well. And yeah, if you want to throw a lanyard on this guy, it is a smaller knife, so a lot of people will put lanyard beads on this to kind of extend the handle, right? You have a little piece of leather and then a bead, and then all of a sudden the handle's a little longer in use, if you're using this. Looks great, no real issues, although that blade does hang out just a pinch outside the handle. If we're looking at this, that is just, it's almost like the exact same length as the handle where it ends. Cool. So they have built in a little tiny extension there, along with the centering as well, to kind of add a little emphasis. And that's cool. Love that stuff. Onto the clip. Once again, the NO is matching that backspacer. And what's the purpose of this? Well, on their finer knives, on their smaller knives, I think this first originated on the Mini Quantum sprint run, and prior to that it would have been some full customs, but in terms of their sprint run custom division type knives, it would be on the Mini Quantum. What does it do? Well, it's for their lighter, dressier knives. Typically, I don't believe I've seen one on a full size yet. Could be wrong. These are the types of facts that I like to bring up and probably mess something up on in terms of authenticity and being correct or not. But typically I don't think they're found on their big knives. It swivels open. It's got like a little detent ball here, a little bearing, and it clips in and is spring loaded. And what that's for, you can leave it open like that so it doesn't have to click, but what that's for is your dress pants, right? So if you don't want to have to take your dress pants or your linens, your fine, your denim, whatever, your suit jacket on the inside, and you don't want to thread that through and have it really snap through and wreck the threads, you know, you swivel that open, you put it in place, and you gently click it closed. Genius, right? Simple, but genius. You know, what I love as well is the patterning on it. I don't know how well you're going to see it, but there is kind of like a fingerprint pattern on the actual clip itself, which every time, it's a concave pattern as well, so every time you swivel it out, your finger finds it, and it just fits so nicely inside there and just makes it for a very pleasant experience to activate that clip. And you'll see some arrows as well on there, I believe, yeah, right there. So it's saying swivel down, right? I don't know how the longevity on these are. You know, I don't believe I've seen any of them break, but you know, it is spring loaded in some capacity. So, you know, I'm imagining it's going to have a life to it in some capacity, but I'm also assuming it's going to take an absolute mega amount of use to reach that limit. And it's probably just a very basic spring. Underneath here as well, you will see all that micro milling, which on the MIDI cues, geez, how can I show this? The lights, I need like 2 lights. Underneath here, hopefully you can see it. It's stunning level of detail, akin to the inside of the skeletonization portion. Very micro milled, very gorgeous. And you know, that would be a macro image that I would use on Instagram, something in there. I don't know how I would take it, and just showing the detail work that, you know, it's under a clip. Why are we spending so much effort to perfectly mill and machine underneath a clip, a spot that typically no one really cares about, no one sees, no one really knows anything about? Well, it's the same reason when you go inside a Swiss watch. The level of detail is perfection. You know, that's kind of what we're getting at with these types of pieces, where they're collectibles, limited to 30 worldwide, and it's not about cutting corners. It's about the person holding it knowing what they have. It's about knowing what's on the inside of these frames. It's about how it's made, the design language, the materials, etc. Now, I haven't even talked about this blade. So it is a Damascus. And at first, when I first saw the Shiro or some video of this, I honestly thought it was a smoky mirrored edge, because as you can kind of see, it doesn't really look like Damascus. It's very light, and this is not my camera hiding the Damascus layering. It's not, well, it could be, let's be honest, my skills on the camera are not ideal, but it's just a very light Damascus. It's really hidden in there. All the knives will have a different kind of look on them as well. They've got that kind of satin flats into them as well, which is great because now you're going to have, well, they do that for the action on those roller bearings. But very, very light, very incognito mode, referencing the Apple ecosystem in incognito mode. Or private. Very, very, very subtle, and also very detailed at the same time. When you look for it and you try to see it, it's absolutely there. But if you're not looking for it, you might miss it, as I did, thinking it was a smoky mirror. We have, speaking of mirror, nice little tie-in, we have a mirrored edge on this as well, which is kind of become standard on their custom division and special editions. This is a perfect mirror, beautifully done, and you can see I'm protecting the tip just in case there's any, I don't want to bang it on here or something. We do have a pinched top here, a bit of a swedge as well, which is kind of another dimension to this blade. It really flattens this whole line that I'm getting down the blade here, although it does kind of tip up a little bit, but it kind of appears flat. Very, very throwback to the Neon NL. In terms of the jimping on it as well, the spacing looks very similar to that back spacer, although we have 1, 2, 3 different blocks here in width as it kind of narrows down and edges up. As we go down the blade, it's still flat down the middle and expands towards the end to provide some strength to the tip of that blade. Really cool. Lots of detail here. Lots going on. Actually, a ton going on here, which is super cool. Absolutely, a lot of detail in that blade. Now, the custom division knife that I saw, they kind of put the fat strip, that massive cut into it that kind of, to be honest, I think looks gorgeous as well. I would love to see the two of these side by side and kind of go through details. Hence one of the purposes I'm actually going to hold on to this one, because it's probably going to take me a while to grab the custom division version of this to have a fair comparison. I'm not doing this with a spec sheet. I mentioned that earlier. I'm going to miss details, and sometimes I watch these videos back and I look through things, and I'm seeing this with a camera in front of my face, looking at a 1-inch screen. Sometimes I'll go through this and look back and be like, how did I miss that? And it's like, well, come on, man. You're watching this in a high definition 4K video, and I'm not even looking at the knife while I'm doing this. So that's why sometimes it's great to kind of look back on the video, assess how things went, and you know, pick up some things. And that's why I encourage it. It's a conversation. This is not me talking. This is a conversation type video. That lock bar as well, it is raised over the other side of the frame so that when you go access it with the bevel on both sides, I should add, it looks like, yeah, beveled. Very comfortable in hand to find. So anytime that they bevel both sides of the frame, it typically makes it feel a little thicker than it is. And you usually find that on thinner blades, I find. Because once you go fatter on the blade stock, that will naturally kind of open up between the two anyway. So they'll make, not Shiro, but some companies will just bevel one side, some will do both still, and then when it's too thick of a blade and they bevel both, your finger almost falls inside. So just kind of keep that in mind, but that is raised, so when you slide your finger over, you do find it quite easily. And looking at this, is this the same patterning as what I'm used to? This looks like there's almost another little bevel here that I'm missing in the past where your finger falls into, that's behind the lock bar. That's interesting. I hadn't noticed that. And this is why I wish I had a Neon NL to kind of compare this with, but I feel like there's a new little roll here that I'm unfamiliar with. In hand, it fits like a glove. It fits bigger than I would have expected. It fits like a full-size F95 in my hand. It's perfect. Half a finger hanging off. This is just exactly what I want in an everyday carry. Something that I can throw on with a suit, a pair of jeans, where have it in my pocket on the weekend. You know, this is just perfect. It's not too big. It's not too small. It's exceptional. Oh, gorgeous. And then if we look down the frame, let's see if we have any, actually let's close the blade so I don't do anything to myself. Let's look down this thing. Do we have a bit of a bevel on the side here? Because I think on the custom division they put a big cut down the bottom of this, a big angled bevel, kind of like a Stellar has. And this is not, it does not have that. So to me, this one might carry a little fatter, just based on what I'm seeing here. But everything is rounded still in terms of the overall feel and fit of the knife. It looks like it's still rounded around the edges, beveled like you'd expect. And then even on the flipper tab up top, and we'll get to that flipper tab, we have the beveling on the sides so that when you flip this guy back, your finger falls into that bevel. So there's no harsh edges around that flipper tab. Speaking of the flipper tab, it's a skeletonized flipper tab. Look at that, guys. How flippin' cool, pun intended, is that on a Neon? A Neon with a cutout on the flipper tab. That is just cool. And look, there's beveling on the flipper tab as well. I don't even see that down here. There's like a little beveled line on it. This is not a big knife, guys. The detail here, my voice is just going higher as I continue to just get impressed by this piece. Wow, super comfortable. Let's take a look. We have that lock bar insert, as I mentioned earlier. Over travel stop, we're at about 25% on lock up here, which is just exactly what you'd want. And that clip is taking all that weight and angling it into the frame on that little bearing as well. So in hand, if you're squeezing that clip, all the weight goes right through to the frame instead of the lock bar, making the action flawless, which is exactly what you'd expect from this piece. Oh, gorgeous. And centering lines on the back spacer as well. I didn't notice that at first. Nice and tight all the way around. Wow. Well, let's get some size comparisons here. I'm feeling like we're probably motoring through this, and I'm a bit in awe. You know, I took some photos of the knife, but truly this is the first time I'm really looking at the details kind of as we go together. I feel like that's kind of important. So we're going to do a bit of a normal comparison here, but we'll start on the opposite end of things. I don't normally do this, but we'll start with some normal pieces. So we'll start with a small Sebenza for comparison. Not a very big knife, but the Neon is much bigger, as you can tell. We'll go into a large Sebenza, and then we'll go down the Shiro line. Because I often do these ones at the end, or if I don't do them, I forget about them. So there's your small and your large. Both of these S45, I think think that, actually, you know what? The small Sebenza might be MagnaCut. I actually don't remember. It's been a few years. And then let's go into the Shiro stuff. So F95, we'll do braces. Like I said earlier, one of my favorite knives of 2025 so far. Production, it's basically Production Plus. It's a special edition knife. And yes, the Sprint Run knife does not come in a special edition box. It comes in this just black standard box. Isn't that funny? Everyone thinks that, oh, they must come in fancy box. No, it's a standard box. Pretty cool. So there's your F95 braces. And size-wise, yeah, the new Neon is smaller. Yes, it's a Neon, and that is an F95. They are two largely different in size. We'll do the Hattie as well. So there's your CCKS 2021 Hattie with a copper backspacer. Same size as an F95, just with a carbo, is it carbo tie or is it techno carbo? I think it's probably techno carbo on that front. We will do a Neon, not Neon, I'm looking at a Neon. We'll do a Stellar. So there's your middle ground from a F95. And why don't we do this one more time, and we can probably flip this down, put the braces down at the bottom, and work our way up to see the three different sizes of Shirogorovs in the new configuration. There you go, small, medium, large, or medium, large, large plus, small, whatever you want to call it. There's your three sizes of Shiro. Really, really cool pieces all the way around. Stellar is a great starting point as well for those kind of in the market looking at something new. We'll do, what do we want to do next? Want to do the RJ? Sure, let's move that down. This is a big piece, so it's going to kind of, might fill the screen up. There's your RJ Martin Russian Overkill full tie as well. Classic piece. They've done that in a number of different configurations, from micartas to denim to techno carbo, Alutex. They've done all kinds of stuff on the RJ Martin collaboration pieces. I kept this one because I think it's cool. It needs a spa day, I know, but we all do. We all need a little spa day. That's an F95 custom division knife. This is a numbered custom division knife. When they used to actually count up, instead of individually numbering knives, they just kept counting up, 50, 55, 100, 117, 118, 100. I think this one's number 300 or 400 or something in there, from probably around 2017 or so, when they started doing custom division, in that time frame. I don't know the exact number, but it's kind of cool, just a throwback piece to old school times. We'll do the Quantum. That is a Monkey Edge frag, single row bearing piece. I carry this one all the time as well, so it's actually hiding wear very, very well. And I have two versions of this knife that I carry. A direct competitor, actually, E-Knives, who's done some Shiro stuff, and they've made a version as well that I don't know. This is the kind of knife I always end up carrying, just plain Jane tie. They just work great. I don't really have any real issues with them. We'll go into the strips. So we've got this is the fat strip for comparison's sake. Very similarly sized, actually. And I thought on paper the Neon would be smaller, but or some people will probably say the strip might be smaller. The strip's not a small knife, although it certainly can look that way. The fat strip I think is so cool because it's got a 5mm blade stock on a shorter knife. And for Shiro, it was the first time they put 5mm blade stock on anything, I think, since the F95 Icebreaker knife, and that was what, five years ago or so, 4 years ago. And throwback to a mission that they went up to, I think, Antarctica, and Icebreaker. Really cool F95 special edition knife. I've had a couple of them come through, and I'm actively trying to put another one back in my collection, but one of the coolest F95 pieces out there. Anyway, I digress. They made this guy. I've done a video on this knife for about an hour, probably 40 minutes, something like that. Long video, sorry in advance. Really cool. Just a weird knife because it's so thick in hand for such a small knife, and for Shiro it's just backwards of like the Astrum, where it's like a long blade with a short handle. Anyway, I think it's cool. Love the strip stuff, and highly encourage you guys to grab them when they do pop up from time to time. What else do I have in the Shiro world that is relevant? I thought I had an Astrum here. There it is. Speaking of Astrum, there's your production Astrum. Carry this one a lot too. Great knife, but it kind of shows the size comparison between the Neon and the Astrum as well. Two massively different knives. This is my 2024 knife of the year, is that Astrum, and I've always said it's a big Neon. It's a big tab lock Neon. And as you can see, patterning wise, there's a lot of similarities, right? A little cut in, and then a nice roll back to the handle. Nice little cut in, roll back to the handle. So if you like the Neon, you're gonna love an Astrum. It doesn't really carry a whole lot different, honestly, weight-wise. A lot lighter too. Great knife. Just a beautiful, beautiful piece. And then we'll get into, here's a Laksa, Scott Cook Russian flipping Laksa. I like it, a Laksa. So really great knife. And you know, Shiro's first integral that they came out with, geez, last fall. Has it been a year already for this knife? I feel like it was just yesterday. So it came out about a year ago. Hugely, hugely popular, 100 pieces. I did a video on this one as well, and at the time I said, you know, I don't believe there's 100 pieces of these floating around. I really don't. Based on how long they took to come out and some little bit of intel, I don't think there's 100 pieces of these actually out there. Probably, I don't know. I couldn't put a number on it, but there's certainly not 100 pieces, especially because it's Shiro's first integral. And I love to talk about this on this knife, how every time there's a first of something, it usually indicates an N+1, meaning there will be more. So I don't know when, what, when, where, why Shiro is going to do another version of an integral. If it's going to be their own design, a Neon integral, an Astrum integral, I have no clue. A Quantum integral, an F95 integral, oh, that would be sick. Give me an F95 integral on washers, just like this. I would literally not be able to sleep for a very long time because I'd be thinking about that knife in a very, very nasty way, just being honest. Did a video on this, obviously, love it, super cool. I don't know when they're going to come up with more integrals, but at some point you'd think that it'd be a natural fit that they would do more. So, just my opinion. And then let's keep on rolling down the line here with others. So, that is the Laksa. What else do we have? I did the Quantum. I've done Shiro. What have I done? Have I missed any of my Shiros that I normally talk about? I might have Astrum, that. Okay, I think that might be it. I could throw a Rask on there. There you go. If you want to see a Rask. A Grimsmo Rask for size. Very similarly size-wise, actually. Surprisingly, I would have thought the Rask would be bigger. But it is not. Not by much. So, if any. Which is kind of surprising. I'm not going to get into the Koenig stuff. I'm not going to get into anything really else. I think that's a fair size comparison we've done on that one. So there we go. There we go. Now we can stop doing size comparisons and focus more on the knife itself. So single roll roller bearing system. That's Shiro's high-end roller bearing system that is typically on custom divisions or on full customs. Instead of the normal bearing system in a circle, the balls on a track, or their multi-row bearing system where you have kind of 2 to 3 balls in a track depending on the knife. This is, think of it as like hot dogs on a roller. It's a needle bearing in a sun pattern. And the number of those bearings will change from design to design, but it's the same kind of concept found throughout. It just means it's a silky smooth knife that typically needs some break-in time, but it's just incredible on the action front once broken in and seated correctly and all lubricated and all that stuff. This is no different to that. Just silky smooth, you know, consistent action, does not drop. So if I hold the knife, it does not drop, but if a little flick, you know, you start getting some action. It's just so typical Shirogorov. It's hard to describe, and it's something that I often try to show people. Like if I grab that F95, for example, that custom division knife, it's one of the knives that I always, if I'm showing people, what do roller bearings mean? It's like you can walk the blade down with the weight of it. It's just so smooth. It's unlike anything. It's controlled, but move the blade, look. It's just, that's roller bearings. So in hand, if you're a knife nut and you're a collector, once you experience it one time, you flick it out, you utilize it, you feel it in hand, you get it immediately. You're like, oh, that's why people love roller bearings. I'm still floored more companies aren't doing roller bearing stuff. Maybe it's expensive, maybe it's a pain in the ass from production, assembly, I don't know. I'm not in that business, but I love roller bearings. I love needle bearings on the knife. So one up from there, you go into Shiro's double row roller bearings. What is that? It's where you cut those hot dogs in half and you kind of put them in its own unique pattern for that blade steel, for that weight of the blade, for that design. And once again, it's just one level up, which is hard to do, but there's another level there. So super, super cool. So where does this kind of sit in the lineup? If you're a collector, is this knife something that you should be grabbing? I guess let's talk about the collectability of this piece, and we'll kind of go from there. The collectability side of things on this, well, I truly feel that sprint runs are going to have a resurgence in value versus custom division. They've kind of played in the same ballpark for quite a while price-wise, until last year when Shiro, on the CDX, I believe, was the first time that they changed the custom division formula and went to 100 pieces. CDX, X, 100, makes a lot of sense, or 10, CD10, yeah, anyway. 100 pieces was kind of the market for that, and that particular piece didn't really change the value. It kind of, I'd say, kept the value from climbing too quickly. Custom division, there's been a huge import into the Shirogorov community of people. They understand their collectible, they understand their value, they understand how important they are to get early. And doubling it in the custom division from 50 available to 100, I'd say it didn't artificially increase the price, it just kind of held that from climbing. Now, sprint runs have still remained at 30. So 30 pieces available. To me, if I'm a collector, it's only natural, if you're going to buy something and invest in these pieces, assuming it's the right design, it's something you love, you have to love it. At these price points, it's a pocket knife, for crying out loud. There's only 30. There's 1/3 of these available. They're manufactured at a very similar level. There's not a whole lot of difference between the two. There's just 1/3 of them. So, if you're parking your money in investments, if you're in the investment market and you look at something that's got 1,000 shares or 100,000 shares, and or you can get in the same value with a higher yield at less shares available. Anyway, I would say I'd put my money on the sprint run. Who knows? The custom division's already doubled once. I have no inside knowledge, as you guys know. Could they double again to, or go 150 pieces, 200 pieces? I don't know. If the key is to control how much those pieces cost, you're gonna, as you get more customers, you're gonna have to make more of them. I think that's a no-brainer. The sprint runs, holding 30, it's just a lot harder to get these pieces. Sometimes, and it seems like in most cases, the sprint runs are a Damascus blade or of some sort, and sometimes people prefer, the standard, S90V or MagnaCut blade or S110 or in some rare cases S125. Some people like that more on some of the custom division knives. Which is fine, but maybe that might be part of the secret sauce, is by doing the Damascus only on these knives and offering them in 30 pieces. Pretty cool on how they're doing that. Some other little notable details on this guy that I'm just kind of seeing, obviously, or haven't even mentioned as I look at this. There's a gorgeous Shiro bear on this. Now, they've been putting the Shiro bear on the handle for quite a while. I love that they've gone away from putting the bear on the blade. Anything that's on the blade is in the way of the cutting path from my perspective. The exceptions to that rule are they've been writing the blade steel on the standard knives on the, it would be up here. That's where they put it on the back side of the blade there. So it's out of the cutting path-ish, but you could kind of get it still. Does it matter? Not really. On this one, there's no labeling as far as I can tell, unless I'm completely missing something. I don't see any marking on the blade showing that it is that ZDI EVA, which I apologize. I probably should have Google searched that and figured out what that blade steel was prior to filming it, but I know it's Zlatinox, and the EVA you would think is like an LMAX base, LMAX VA. I have no idea. Because I thought, was it the Astrum Sprint Run? I thought that was ZDI-E. Does that sound familiar? Now this is ZDI-EVA. So VA is the difference. I don't know, guys. It's cool. Can we just agree that it's cool and looks fantastic and ticks all the boxes? I'll go with that. It's ZDI/cool. Looks great. It's just so subtle, and that's just unlike any of the Damascus they've used. I also like to look at some of these sprint runs and go, you know, a lot of the features on these knives typically trickle down into other patterns and other designs and other sprint runs and other limited editions. And so I love seeing that kind of stuff. So who knows if we'll see this elsewhere at a different time or a different model. I know we've got, I know there's some really heavy hitting heat coming up this fall from Shiro, you know, with the custom division of that. And I thought I had read on the Shirogorov page that, I don't know when, but there's another collaboration piece coming up in the next few months. So, you know, no clue what those blades look like, but I'm trying to think what was that brand? Was it the Marlowe? I thought that was, because they leaked a couple of them at a show, at Blade Show, I thought. And I thought it was just a standard steel, like an S90V, not standard, but like S90V. I thought that's what it was. It might have been Magna Cut, so I don't know if we'll see ZDI on that at all whenever that thing finally launches. That'll be a cool one as well. Oh, love that. But who knows? Or it's just, you know what? Hey, we made 30 knives of this, and we're trying new things, and maybe we love it, maybe we don't. But I don't know how it's hard. I think it's hard not to love it personally. But absolutely gorgeous. Now, kind of going back to that investment piece, yeah. So if there's 30 available, you know, is this worthwhile to grab? Well, it's got roller bearings, 90 mil new size. I'm assuming as well that it's been a few years now since I've had neons come through, maybe a year since I've had some neons come through. I think it's only natural to look at the progression and go, you know, in the last 6 months, they've had 2 Neon IXs, full customs. Now we've got the launch of the Sprint Run and the Custom Division knife. So I'm just speculating here. I'm assuming a new Neon's well on its way, and it's probably going to mirror something similar to this size-wise. It will not be nearly as feature-loaded. So if you do like these knives, and you do like the size, and you do like the patterning and all this cool stuff, it won't have a lot of this cool trickle-down, but, you know, if you look at like a Neon Zero, I'm assuming they would make a Neon Zero version of this at some point, because it's been a couple years for the Neon Zero. And I feel like we need a new one. We need a new Neon Zero. I need a new Neon because my wife keeps stealing my Neon, and I am too scared to carry this because it's too gorgeous in every single matter of speaking. So I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I need a new Neon. And 90 mil, it's just like the perfect size. It truly is just the perfect size all the way around. Now, I am curious to see, like I said, when the custom division is available, whenever that is, and whenever I can track one down, how the 2 blade shapes compare with that really big kind of bevel on the top, up on the nose here, on that custom division that's pinched in very much. I'll grab that strip one more time, that fat strip. It has a very similar profile to that one. And let me grab it here, where it's really pulled down like this, but I wouldn't say it's like, you know, almost 40% like this one. It's more kind of, I'd say like a third pulled down. And I would, I don't know, you know, why don't I, as I'm talking here, I'll pull it up, because I have my phone here that I showed you bladezilla.ca on. Why don't I just pull up Instagram, and I'll show you a picture of it that Shiro released on their profile. And you know, I don't know how to overlay it into this video, but at least here we go. Geez, it's like add a thought. So by the way, there's my Instagram on bladezilla.ca. So you see how the nose on this one is kind of pinched up at the tip on the custom division. There it is. That's what I'm kind of referring to. Very similar actually to that strip. So pretty cool knife. And then the patterning on the handle, as you can see, so you have 1, 2, 3 on this guy, 4, and then a blank on the 5th. There you just kind of have the front 3, and then more of a what's the word, a bevel on the handle. That's going to really pinch in, make that handle a lot thinner in hand. But similar patterning, similar on the front as well. So pretty cool. You know, that'll be a very fun video to kind of compare the two whenever I can get that in. And that just launched. So, you know, I'm trying to get this video out as soon as I can, just because there's a lot of people asking me about the knife, and you know, when's the video coming? I didn't realize the importance of it, but yeah, it's a great knife, guys. It's really cool. And for some reason, the Sprint Run intel on data, on specs, it's like not out there. You cannot find it. Like custom division, there's details everywhere printed, and on the sites and the forums, people have all this stuff. Sprint Run, it doesn't matter the model, it's just like hard to find details on them up front, at least for me. And maybe it's better if I, you know, spoke more of the mother tongue and knew a little more of the Russian language. Maybe there's forums that I can find some of the stuff in that I'm unaware of. But nonetheless, I feel like walking through this knife with you guys for the last half hour or so, it just makes it so enjoyable to experience this together. And this is truly my first walk around on the knife, kind of looking at that swivel clip, looking at the patterning on here, looking at the skeletonization, looking at the micro milling inside the patterning, you know, looking at how they hide that silly, geez, I should probably not half open it. Looking at the Sprint Run underneath here, you know, how hard that was to find. It's just a lot of little details that, you know, the patterning under there is just gorgeous. Looking at all this stuff, it's just so fun to experience together without a spec sheet, because you find the details, you know, those little things on the ridges on the inside of here, the skeletonization, that's just absurdly well done. It just makes it so fun and special to go through this knife together and find these cool details. I really do enjoy it. I'm just trying to think here, is there anything I've missed? I've talked about the bear, which the patterning on the bear's tongue, that's the main thing. It changes on a lot of the models. I don't know if there's very subtle changes. A lot of people don't notice that actually, but sometimes it'll have like a little mustache or anyway, just pay attention to that Shiro bear next time on your knife. They really play with the logo quietly, and not everyone notices it. I love that kind of stuff. In this one, we've got a solid kind of solid tongue, I guess. Nothing too crazy, but I feel like this is raised a little more than normal, and it really pops against that background. You know, the driving 100 miles an hour with the rain on the windshield pattern. I don't know what they call this. Sports car Exotica rain windshield blur. I have no clue what they call this, but it's another unique pattern. Like I said, it's got the original Neon NL vibes to it. Top here, that's very subtle with the breaks in it. And then kind of the Stellar B pattern, very similar. The big cuts, thick machining, thick milling, And then it's even found in the breaks between them. I didn't really notice that as much. That's kind of cool. And then in hand, as I mentioned, I'm an extra large glove, fits me fine. What else? Oh, even the lock bar is milled in the back on the bend too. You can kind of see it on the inside here. So we have the external milling on the lock bar, and there's some light milling on the underside of it as well. They don't normally do that. Normally when you mill a bend, you don't do both sides. It's harder to QC. But here, they do both sides. And what else can I see? That clip is internally attached. I can see that. What else am I missing inside here? I feel like I'm missing something. Big cutouts. Oh my god, big cutouts for the skeletonization. I just want to fire my cell phone's lighting here. I can't find my normal light, but this will have to work. Big, yeah, monster cutouts inside this guy. Wow. Huh. You know what? I think I need to take some advice from James here, and maybe I need to extend this video and film it for 2 hours or 45 minutes times 2, or do a second video on some of these cool pieces where I disassemble it and talk about it, because like I feel like we're only getting half of the picture with these conversations. I really do. I really feel like we're missing out on another whole tier of detail on the inside of this knife. I just don't have confidence in myself to not mess something up, because it's just so perfect right now. Silky smooth. Okay, well, I'm trying to think, did I miss anything else here? So obviously we have that pivot is cinched down, that's not going anywhere. Oh, that's new. Have they always had that little hang down here on that lock bar on the Neon? Is that something I'm not aware of? So we have an over travel stop. But has it always hung down like that? With this little drop? Maybe it has. I don't know. My spidey senses are tingling on that one. Could be wrong, and I usually am. So guys, don't quote me on that, but my spidey senses are tingling a little bit on that one. And I am noticing now as well, the frame has a built-in limiter to how much you can actually push that lock bar down as well. So like a reverse, it's like an over travel stop inwards. You see that here? Right on the edge of the lock bar, so that will not go past that. That's interesting. That may be something to maybe take a note of, that's hiding in plain sight. I don't know if I've seen that. Is that on, let's grab another frame lock here. Oh no, it's on that too. Okay, so there's, here's the F95. I just missed that. There's an F95 braces, and it has that up there too. When did they start doing that? It's like a little, I don't know if it's functional though. Like if you push that lock bar in, will that little lip there actually stop it? Or is that just a kind of spot to hold the metal lock bar insert? Anyway, cool little detail nonetheless, whether it's functional or fashion or whatever. But this one looks like it's a lot more set than that, and then on the braces. So who knows? They're always doing cool things, making it cool and innovative and whatnot. And yeah, I love details. Just love looking at this kind of stuff. Seeing what they've done, what they've changed, what they've modified. They're always thinking and trying to come up with a better way of execution. I love, you know, if you guys don't know, Shirogorov, I'm an absolute Shiro whore. Like, I'm not even going to deny it. It's my favorite brand in the knife world. It's the brand that my majority of my knife collection is based on. and what a lot of the functionality of what I love in knives come from. So there's no denying that. And if you've followed the channel for the last couple of years, you'll know that I try to review every Shirogorov that I can humanly track down, or review, discussion, issue, whatever. So that's why I apologize if I ramble a little bit on these videos and I spend extra time on some of these cool Shiros, because it's not me trying to sell a Shirogorov. Like they sell themselves. This one is not even for sale. It doesn't even matter. There's no skin in the game on this video. It's just I'm a passionate guy with the brand. I love them, love the design, love the execution, love the little minute details that only they tend to do. And sometimes I'm a little fanboy when I'm doing these videos, going through, and I hope that comes across in a good way, because sometimes I'll watch back portion, a 5-minute segment, and it's like cringy, honestly. But at the same time, I go like, man, like I really, really like these knives, and I hope that comes across in a good way, because I'm just absolutely in love with it. And you look at the details, you look through that frame, you see that Damascus, you see some of the cool little lines. It's just so beautifully done and put together in a way that I just love. It makes these videos, it makes all this work so worthwhile to experience pieces like this. It's my absolute favorite. And Shirogorov, like, they're just continuing to innovate with all these cool, micromilling on the caps and the pivots. They're captive, they're not going anywhere. The over travel sub, obviously, the swivel clip, the skeletonization with multiple steps down. They could just open those windows up, it'd be easier, it'd be more cost effective. But no, they do micromilling. They continue the patterning through those spots. They have the reverse bit, the clip, obviously. The internal sides of these, that's just littered with detail, just littered inside. I can't even express how much is going on inside here, guys. And I can already see, once again, multi-levels of layering to the inside of the skeletonization as well. It's a perfect pocket knife. And for me, this is the perfect size. The NeoniX Sprint Run, the perfect size for anything. Sure, if I'm going into, hiking in the backwoods, am I going to take a Neon? Absolutely not. Probably want more of like a 111 or an F95. That's my opinion. If I'm, in an urban dwelling in a suit and tie, this is what I want to carry. This is something you pull out on a, if you're at a lunch or a whatever, you're at a fancy dinner, you put that out, and maybe you're with someone who doesn't know pocket knives, and you put this next to your set of car keys. And you could even have a fancy car key fob, like an Audi or a Mercedes key fob. Imagine that. I'm probably talking to the same target market for this knife, I'm going to be honest. I might not be, who knows. I'm not in marketing. But, you put down an Audi key and you put this beside it, chances are they're not asking about the Audi key. They're asking, what the heck is that? Oh, that's my Shirogorov pocket knife. It's a Sprint Run. What's a Sprint Run? What's a Shirogorov pocket knife? Oh, take a look at it. What's that worth? You don't want to know. Why is it worth that? Just look at it. There's a lot less of these than Audis. I'll tell you that. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, they're knocking it out of the park. And I apologize for the long-winded ramble today. It's just sometimes you get a cool knife that deserves it. And with the CDX recently, the MIDI Qs, the Astrums prior to those, now the Stellar B as well, and now we're going into the Neon season in the fall here of the custom division. I have no concept if there's anything following this. I'm just glad there's a Neon, because I hope that there's going to be some production Neons following in the same size so I can really appreciate them. Like I said, they won't have skeletonization, I'm assuming. They won't have the swivel clip, nothing like that, but just functionally, it's a great size carry. It just so happens that this level of knife is littered with high-end detail work, high-end precision, and a very limited number available worldwide. That's it, 30, done. No more coming. And If you know me and you follow the channel, you understand that I'm a sucker for plain Jane tie with beautiful milling and a little pizzazz. And when I saw this, I was like, I have to have that knife. It's exactly my jam. Right? High-end milling, cool patterning, exceptional detail on the micro milling on the front that's kind of hiding in plain sight. Skeletonized flip tab. You know, oh, it's got the, you know, a nice blue colored backspacer. Great. And oh, great. Oh, and it's got Shiro's, you know, mini quantum clip, swivel clip that everybody is just super, super excited about. And, you know, up until, geez, a couple of years ago, you know, those mini quantums were $7,500, $8 grand, $9 grand for the sprint runs. I've seen them go for that. And now that technology, hey, let's put it on Neon. Remember the full custom Neon with a 90mm blade, the first one they put out, I think it was earlier this year. I thought I saw it was like 36,000 or 38,000 American is what that knife sold for at auction. Because of this clip. And because they hadn't done a Neon in years and years and years. And now we have the sprint run. And now we have the custom vision, both with that clip, both relatively plain Jane. I believe it looks like in that image this is more regular tie kind of colorway. I think the other one might have a little hidden bronze in it. If I remember there, just from looking at that, it looked a little bronzy. But my jam, right here. Stunning. Which one will be my favorite? Well, if I am lucky enough to track down one of the custom divisions, we'd love to do a comparison between the two. And until that time, my favorite is the one I have, which is this. For all the reasons I've probably blabbed on about for 45 minutes. Or an hour, I don't know, whatever I'm at. I've done a few cuts in the video, so who knows? Who knows? And I don't care. I could talk for hours and hours on this knife. I could. It's that good. It's that well done. What else have I missed? Have I missed any details that you wanted to see or talk about? Something that I can kind of clarify in the comments, clarify on Instagram, clarify elsewhere. I would love to do that. Just hit me up. You know, you're not going to offend me if I miss something, because I've probably missed a handful of things on this knife. It's what I do. I'm a knife nerd, not Knife Nerdery, the channel. Great channel, by the way. But I do tend to miss things. He would love this knife, by the way. He would love this knife. It'd be right up his alley. Okay. Well, I think I'm going to park that video there. I think I've hit everything that I need to. I've talked about the skeletonization, talked about the milling behind the flipper tab, the NO backspacer, the micro mill pockets here, the Shiro bear with this cool pattern that changes, seems to be a lot lately, the micro milled back as well, the flippy swish on the pocket clip, that gorgeous bevel on the back as well, the cool patterning around the hardware. I think I hit everything out of the park on this. I think I've touched on almost everything. Oh, geez. Look at that. We even have a bevel on... I didn't notice that at first. There's like a little tiny bevel on the tip, on the underside of the backspacer. Why is that bevel there? What's the point? Probably so you don't get something caught on your pants. It's details like that. Honestly, it's details like that that are just riddled throughout this knife. The more I look at it, the more I look at it up close, they pop out on, and more will come. I'm telling you guys, more will come as I go. It'll be, I'll be flipping this at some point during the work week or whatever, and then all of a sudden I'll be like, hey, why didn't I notice this massive bevel on the side here? Why didn't I notice that they did this? Why didn't I notice that the physical handle changes on, bevel, raised bevel, micro bevel? Why don't I notice these things? Micro bevel, there's a new term. But like, it's stuff like this, 3 different lines here on the top. That could all be one line. Why is it like that? I don't know. It's cool though. It's functional. And then that new line that I just don't... that I didn't notice. There is a stepped line in here. That to me is new. I don't know if it's new to the brand. It's new to me, and I notice it because as soon as I hold it, it just fits a little bit snugger. So that's cool. Okay, I think I'm going to park things there. I've probably rambled on. If you made it to the end of the video, congratulations. You're in a very select group of people, according to the YouTube stats, so appreciate it. Check out bladezilla.ca for more. Maybe try to track down another one of these at some point. That'd be awesome. Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Bladezilla, pretty easy to find there. Facebook as well. And otherwise, hit me up, send me a note, visit the site, bladezilla.ca. Thanks for stopping by, guys. I really do appreciate you, and love that I can talk about knives that I'm passionate about and enjoy very thoroughly. You've made this really enjoyable for me, and just having this coffee together and enjoying it. I've had such a good time, and I feel like I've really got to know this sprint run and play with it, but I've got a lot more left to learn about it. So truly appreciate it, guys, and giving me the opportunity to have this platform to chat. So have a great week, and check out the store. If there's any more questions, email me, whatever, and DM me. I'm always available. All right, guys, have a great week, and we will see you on the next one. Peace.